Hello, people. I'm Detroit Miracle. Yes, and indeed. Right now, I am here to have more cool comic book slash film slash story discussion fun. This such topic will be about the master martial artist Pai Mei, also referred to as the White Hermit. I will also do power levels comparisons between the Pai Meis shown in comic book format and live action. Okay, let's start with the comic book characterizations of Pai Mei. He sort of appears in the comic books as a super villain. I believe he's crossed over with other popular comic book supervillains in terms of the martial art genre, but that is debatable. But nevertheless, Pai Mei does appear in comic book editions, which characterizes him as invincible, seemingly invincible, as well as an expert martial artist and the most powerful, deadly fighter in the world, based on those characterizations. So he's a legend in the comic books in terms of his skill sets and powers in the martial arts. Now, in the live action characterizations of Pai Mei, he is shown to be the same, an invincible warrior fighter, a supervillain, someone who is seemingly impossible to overcome or defeat. But in all of the films in the live action that characterizes Pai Mei, his nemesis found one vital thing in Pai Mei that he was able to exploit in terms of a weakness, a momentary lapse of judgment and character. Some of Pai Mei's opponents used trickery and deceit in order to beat him. Nevertheless, whatever they used, it appeared to have worked because in all of Pai Mei's movies, he was defeated at the end due to ingenuity, power, skill set, and certainly fighting prowess in the martial arts. Okay, the comic book editions are earlier, so you would have to search and find them. They're not in the stores, but you will find them good reads. I'm a comic book reader and fan and collector, and you tend to learn more completely about the story if you read your favorite characters in all formats or read about them, learn about them in terms of what they're thinking. And books tend to give more information than films do, in other words. Okay, how do I rate the complete power levels of Pai Mei? I would say in the comic book levels, he's immensely powerful and skilled, second to Bruce Lee as based on characterizations, but he's seemingly impossible to stop in the comic books, much like he's seemingly impossible to stop in the live action characterizations of him. Of course, Pai Mei was a ex Shaolin monk or Shaolin priest that turned bad or something. If you look back to his bio or origin story, he didn't originally start off as evil. Somehow he was persuaded and turned to the dark side, and then he became the evil priest Pai Mei. I believe he was working for a certain regime that took over China, and so essentially he wanted to live well and wanted to be a king. So he chose to go with the ruling parties involved rather than stay with the losers who had lost that particular territory. So Pai Mei was a hunted and a most feared but most hated adversary in which his enemies wanted to kill. Nevertheless, and despite the power levels that Pai Mei has shown over the years, there have been few that were brave enough to challenge him and fight him, and some were more fortunate than others. So I say power levels of Pai Mei are A1, A plus top tier levels in the comic books as well as in the live action characterizations of him. Indeed. Well, let me know what you people think about this.